The strips of wood that you're looking at here will be used in today's project, so make sure you stick around and see how it turns out. So the pictures here, I glued these boards together about a month ago, and I have the intention on making something with them today. But back then I did a similar piece, and now I'm ready to go ahead and try this one. It's going to be quite a bit different, and I'm hoping I have enough stock to make it work out. So what I have here is, that's Padauk in the middle and maple on the outside. They're 1 3/16 this way, they're 3/4 that way, and they're about 7 inches long. Here's some of them. I'll show you how I'm going to cut one, but it's a real slow process, and I'll show you why. I made this little cutting fixture. This is tilted at 15 degrees like that, and so is this, so that a board that's got right angles on it will fit right in there. I've got a little wedge right here to help hold it in place. I'm going to push that like so, and I'm going to clamp that wedge so it doesn't fall out. I'm going to go ahead and cut one of these, and you'll see that it's a kind of a self-powered fixture, and I'll show you that after we get this one cut. I'll show you how that works. Let me grab my mask and see if we can get through this. That's a 1/2 inch blade with, I believe it's 12 teeth per inch. I'm only holding that board against the piece in case it looks like it wants to come away from the fixture. I never did really need to use it because it stayed in very tightly. I timed each cut to see how long it would take to get through the length of the board, and it takes about 3 minutes. So I sped this up to a 5x speed. So there's the piece, and the reason I'm cutting real slow is because it's making a joint that I won't have to do anything else to it. So you can see right there that that's plenty tight for a glue joint. I'm not going to make you watch me cut all 24 of these, but that's what it's going to look like. I'll cut one more and I'll show you how this mechanism works. I'll go ahead and cut one more so I can show you how this works. This is a faceplate off my metal lathe. I've got a 1 inch diameter steel rod in there that seems to be just about the right weight to pull this through while it's cutting. And I've got a stop right here so it just gets through and then it stops. I shut the machine off before I take anything out of the way. So let's go ahead and get going and see what we can do. I probably didn't need to, but I went ahead and held the piece against the fixture with that board just to make sure I got the best cut I could get. When we get to the glue up stage, you'll see how well it worked. This is absolutely perfect. And so is that one. And I set this up so that after I cut it, they're both exactly the same. I won't have to do anything to either one of these. So I cut 30 of these, but I should only need 24. And the reason that I should only need 24 is I cut each one of these on a 15-degree wedge. And 24 into 360 is 15, so that's 15 degrees. These are kind of hard to pick up and put together just to do a dry fit, and if you've watched very many of my videos, I will spend the time to make something to make it easier, such as a jig or a fixture. Well, I just happen to have a piece of this pipe, and it fits really nice with all 24 pieces in there. So this really helps to do an assembly on this and check it. There we go. So now I'll put some rubber bands on it and see how 24 of them fit together. And I can see right now that those fit really nice. So my cutting fixture was working good. Alright, so I'm not going to be gluing it together like this, even though it would look pretty interesting. We're going to put a little twist on it. And I do that using a cone. And if you've seen my other video, that's how I got a twist on it. And I got asked numerous times what the angle is, what the dimension is. Honestly, it's kind of hard to tie it down because a lot of it depends on how much you want it to flare open and how good your joints are. But this is 7 inches long. It's 19¼ degrees. It's 3 3/4 on the top, and it's 1 3/8 on the bottom. And I actually cut some relief in between of that so that it wouldn't be rubbing somewhere. So because I want to twist and I know what direction I want it to twist, I'm going to give it a little extra start. And there's our twist. So you can see how it opens and closes. But I've kind of decided I want that shape right there. Now we have to do this again with glue in it. So I've got to make sure I got that all set up just right and everything goes smoothly, so the glue doesn't set up halfway through. I'll be right back. I got to get my glue press out, get a few other things ready, and we'll glue it together. I want to make sure I don't have one out of place. Okay, that should do it. Now this is going to be a little tricky. It's very slippery. I need to get that started, and got it. Whew. Okay. Just going to get this set up and I'll adjust the camera so you can see it. I've turned it upside down, got the clamps on it. I'll go ahead and tighten those up, and we'll put some pressure against it. Well, the glue's dry on this. I let it sit all night, and this plug that I put in here, I didn't want this one sticking, so I wrapped it with that clear packaging tape, and it popped right out. So, had to figure out a way to hold this. I turned a little disc that fits into here, and it centers it, and my cone will fit in there, and it runs very true. So I need to flatten this and get something on it for a bottom. And I can do most of it with the cone in there, but not all of it. So I'm going to hot glue that disc in place. So let me get that glue on there and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn this down into the base and then cut a tenon on there. Then I think I'll be flipping it around. Got a 5/8 bowl gouge doing 900 RPM. I've got it flipped around in the chuck, and I need to clean up this area where the hot glue is and try to get these ends flattened. And I want to do that, and then I can come back and cut this, because I think some of this is going to chip while I'm doing it. I'll go ahead and use a negative brick scraper because I think it's less likely to chip as bad. Doing about 725 RPM. I've got all the hot glue cleaned out of there, and it should come out like that. So I just wanted to get it freed up. I'm actually going to put it back in now. Use it for support. I'm going to finish turning this until it cleans up. And then we'll start figuring out wall thickness and see what kind of shape I can get on it. That's real thick here and not so much here. Okay, so I'm going to use a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. And I think it's still pretty sharp. Just going to clean that up. So I just glued up this segmented ring. It's made out of Sapele. It's going to be on the top. And before I glue it on, I need to try to clean up these staves on the inside. And it is a long ways down there. It's going to take a while. I'll show you a little bit of it. I'm going to use the Carbide hollowing tool. I just don't think I can get a good angle with the bowl gouge, and I think this will be the most efficient way to do it. So I'll show you a little bit of this, but probably going to be blocking most of everything. I have my steady rest here to give me some support. Doing 830 RPM. I've got it cleaned up pretty good to the bottom, and I have about 3 inches I haven't, and I haven't cut this yet. I want to wait till I put the ring on. But I've got a couple little sanding devices that I've made. That's just a little flat sander. I think everyone's made one of those. And this looks like it's going to work. Get down in the bottom there. I stopped sanding at 220 on the inside. I need to cut this ring down to match the body here and then start creating a shape. I have a cone inside of here with my live center against it. This will act the same way the steady rest did and support it when it sticks out this far. So I've got a 1/2 inch bowl gouge. We're doing about 930 RPM. Alright, I've got plenty of stock here to take some more off, and looking at what I have here, I think I can continue rounding this and blend into here and make it look a little bit better, and I've got the stock to do it. So let's do it. Okay, now I'm ready to sand. This cut pretty smooth. I'm going to start with 120 grit. I'll work my way up through 400, and then we'll get a finish on it. I'm going to be sanding in reverse at about 480 RPM as soon as I get my dust collector going. We've reached one of my favorite stages of turning here, is putting the finish on it. And seeing that that's Padauk, and I know that it will bleed, I'll use my spray lacquer on it, and I like Deft lacquer. And I know a lot of you have seen me do that, and the reason I use the spray lightly at the beginning is to try to keep it from bleeding. It'll seal the oils in. Another thing you really need to do, no matter whether your wood's bleeding or not, is get the dust out of the grain. We're going to go ahead and spray some of this on. I'll let that dry. I'll do it a couple more times, and I'll come back and we'll put a heavy coat on. And then I'll get it all finished up, so I'll see you soon. Okay, time to start building up the finish, and I went over this with 400 grit, and it's looking pretty nice. So now I can put it on a little heavier. About like that. I'm going to go ahead and get all the coats on it. It looks just like that. And I'll be back and we'll do the next step. I'm putting on the Acks polish restoring paste right now, getting ready to buff it out. I actually did the abrasive paste earlier this morning, but my foot was really bothering me and I just wanted to get it done, and I didn't record any of that. But now you're going to get to see the really nice shine. There it is. Okay, I got to get set up and cut that tenon off of there. I decided to go with the cold jaws on this one, about 600 RPM. With this piece sticking out so far from the cold jaws, I don't really trust pulling the tailstock back and finishing the bottom, so I'll just sand it afterwards. After all, today is Super Bowl Sunday. And I don't want this to look like a football being passed through my shop. That's close enough. Well, here it is. It is all done, and I really like how it looks. I used Padauk and maple for the strips, and the top is made from Sapele, and the bottom is made from Sapele. I think it looks pretty nice. You can see the inside there. I'm going to try not to spin this while I'm holding it, but make sure you stick around and watch it on the turntable. It looks pretty cool. So I used about 5 coats of Deft lacquer sprayed on it, and then I went over it with the Acks abrasive paste and polish, and it really gives it a nice finish. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like the video, do me a favor and click that like button. And while you're there, it would be great if you could share the video around. Those 2 things will really help my channel grow. Leave a comment. I read them all, and I do my best to answer them all. Thanks to all my subscribers. And if you're not, please consider doing so. I do a mix of all types of turnings. Some are simple and some are complex, so let me know your favorite. Thanks again, and until the next time, see you later.